Hello, hello. Welcome to the replay. If you are interested in hearing about how iteration is so important in your business and your writing, stick around. That's exactly what we're talking about. Welcome as other people are joining the room. Hello, hello. Y'all pop on in the chat. Tell me your name. Tell me where you're from. Tell me what you write. It's my favorite part. So fun to watch all of you guys join in. It's great. Hope everyone's having a good Friday. I like Fridays. Hey, Ron. I missed your scope earlier, but it's on my replay list. Hello, hello. So, yes, how's everyone doing? Weekend plans? Anyone got any big weekend plans? What am I doing this weekend? It's my husband's birthday. You rocked. You always rock. Blabbing is on my agenda for sure. Going out with my husband tonight for his birthday. That'll be super fun. We don't go out on date nights very much, so when we do, we always regret it the next morning. Just kidding, sort of. Alrighty guys, so don't get too crazy. Thanks, Kenzel. We've got 3 kids. Waking up before, we have to wake up at 5:30 or 6 a.m. anyway, so basically just staying up till 11 makes us regret it. Because it's just hard to get up early and take care of those kids every day. But it's okay. It's totally worth it. They're great kids. They are. They're good kids. So today we're talking about iteration. They'll sleep for 6 hours. Yeah. We always think, we're like, oh, we're going to put them to bed late and then they'll sleep late, and that never happens. There's 3 of them. One of them's always going to wake up. So all right, so let's talk about iteration here and how we can use this idea, this motivation behind iteration to constantly sort of improve and tweak our writing and our business. And I think this is actually a really important concept to try to really internalize. It's helped me a lot in the last year. I started looking at my writing in a different light because of thinking about it as an iteration. So, rewind. I'm Morgan Guest McDonald. I'm a writing coach and editor of nonfiction writing. I run my business and my blog out of paperravenbooks.com, and I take scope notes for you so you don't have to. So anything we talk about is posted on paperravenbooks.com/periscope. You can grab the replays there of all the previous scopes too. Hey Miguel, welcome. If you are a writer and you scope, we are trying to get all of us organized and find each other, because Periscope is really hard to search for each other. So we're using this hashtag. You probably saw it in my title, Periscope Writers, hashtag Periscope Writers. So if you write and you scope, use that hashtag so we can find you and be on your scopes and give you hearts and celebrate your visibility. So it's really fun. Come join our community. What else? Oh, yes. By the way, the hearts you gave me on my first scope don't count for me. It was because it was a private scope, or what? You should do public scopes. Thanks, Ron, Periscope Writers. Kenzel, was it because it was a private scope? Probably. Yeah. Next time, do public. And then we'll find you and we'll give you hearts. Then they'll count. Yes, and that reminds me, if you like what we're talking about, tap hearts on the screen, and that lets you know that you're there and engaged and makes me happy. If you like to talk about writing, hit the little Perry buddy down there and change the plus to a check, and that means you're following me, which lets you know when I'm scoping. There will be a little notification, and you can catch the replays later. Don't call her a coward, Ron. That's not. We're nice. In my scope, we have to be nice. You can be however you want in your own scope. All right. Oh, and share. Sharing's fun. So if you know someone who is a writer and probably should do more writing out in public, she started it. You know what? I have 3 kids already. I don't need 2 more kids. I really don't need 2 more kids. If you know someone who is a writer and is working in writing and turning it into a business, share. Thank you, Ron, for sharing. And then you can help them become a better writer and a better business person. Because as writers, this is what we've been talking about all week. As writers, we are business people. We are running a business. Our readers are our customers, right? We are trying to find them and get in touch with them and stay in touch with them so they can come back and read our books over and over again and buy the new books when we put them out. Thanks for the hearts, guys. So we are a business, and you got to wrap your head around that. You know, you're not just writing for the art. You are writing to affect someone's life, and the only way you're going to affect someone's life, however, whether it's just making them laugh because your book is funny, or cry because your book is sad, or teaching them some transformative information they didn't know before, the only way that's going to happen is if they read your book. And the only way they read your book is if you market it smartly and can get your book into their hands and they read it. And even better, if they share it with their friends. So this is like the vision that we are working toward. And a huge piece of this is learning to think of your writing and your business, because you have both, right, as an iterative process. Okay, so what's an iteration? I did define : Google, or define : iteration in my Google search bar earlier. You periscoped, Miguel! Okay, I missed it, but it's probably still in my feed, so I'm going to go look for it right after this and watch it. Awesome. I'm very excited for you. Good job, guys. Good job, team. Team hashtag Periscope writers. We are getting more and more courageous, aren't we? Good job. Okay, so when you type in define : iterate into Google, which is what I do, because Google has a really great dictionary, by the way, it's to perform or utter repeatedly, or to say or do again and again. Okay, so how do we actually apply this concept? In our writing, what most of us start out doing is we want to write because we have been personally affected somehow by writing, whether it was fiction or nonfiction. I mean, it could have been fairy tales when we were kids, it could have been a book that we read in college, whatever. We were personally affected by something that was really beautiful / profound / moving. We thought, oh, I want to do that too. And so we see this art that we love and we want to create something like it. The problem is that the first time we try to create, it's terrible. It just is. Thanks for the hearts. That means you know what I'm talking about. It just is not, the first time you create some art, it does not live up to the expectations that you have. That's part of the reason why we are artists and writers, though, is because we can see something beautiful and recognize that beauty or that profoundness or that movingness. Like, we can see that, we recognize it. But then we also see this huge gap between what we are creating and what we want to create. Right, and the second, yeah, so the first one's really, really terrible. So what we do, yes, Ron, you're totally going the same direction I am. So what we have to get into our mindset is that this is an iterative process, right? It's an iteration. First is terrible, we hope the second's a little better, we hope the third's a little better, we hope the fourth is a little better. And that idea makes sense in the abstract. How do you bring it down from the abstract into the concrete and start applying this? It means, first of all, let's say you're writing books, because that's what I mostly work on with authors, is writing books. It means you have to set out to finish your book. You have to finish one book. You have to write and finish a book, put it out in the world, and then start again. You do not get to write chapter 1 over and over and over again. That's useless. Okay? So this is where we're going to start drawing a distinction between the type of persistence where you are pursuing something something out of hope. You're pursuing something hopeful because you think it will bring you success, is different than continually pursuing something out of a bad habit. Fast to draft, Ron, exactly. Kenzel says, I'm not sure a writer ever feels that satisfaction because writing is so subjective. Yes, but I do think that I do think there are moments in the creative process where you do feel proud of what you have put out. Maybe later on looking back, you won't feel as proud as you once did. I mean, and this happened to me even with my book that I put out over the summer. The day that I published on Amazon was such a huge high, and I loved that book. I still love that book. But as I'm going back later and reading it, because we're turning it into an audiobook and, we're printing it in paper and all this stuff, I'm reading it like, oh, I really could have done better here, and I could have explained this a little bit better. And you kind of have to just get over that. So, sorry, I'm taking a couple different strains here. There's the one point where we want to do these things over and over again to completion. If you're writing a book, you complete the book. right? So you want to complete it. You want to make sure what you are completing, what you are pursuing, is something that you hope will bring you success. Okay, so I actually want to stay here for just a second. There are actions that we repeat out of bad habit. That's not what we're talking about. Okay? So iterating on checking Facebook and email before you write, if you do that every single time before you write, that's not a good habit. That is not a good iterative practice. We don't want to get better and better at checking social media before we write. That's just a plain bad habit. And that's totally not what we're talking about. We're talking about pursuing the goal of writing a book. So you probably feel that sense of hope in there. That by doing this action, I hope that it will bring good results. Just like going for a jog in the mornings is something that you would iterate and get better at and better at it. That is something that you hope will get you in better shape. Kenzel says that it doesn't help Scope and Twitter are upcoming new problems. Yes, but you can carve out, they're becoming new problems, exactly, Kenzel. There's always distractions. Okay, you can carve out time and just be intentional with your time about when, there are only a few people that I will drop what I'm doing to watch on Periscope. Otherwise, I'm catching replays. Miguel says, that messes me up looking at everything else but my writing. Ron and Blab. Yeah, exactly. And so we want to make sure that we are trying to iterate on the things that will bring us success. And so I think we can all agree that our writing is what we are hoping will bring us success. So we are iterating in our writing and we're trying to bring it to completion. So write an entire blog post, write an entire article that will be published in a magazine, write an entire book, finish it, put the end, stamp it, seal it, and send it off, ship it. Publish it on Amazon, okay? That is a full, complete process. And then you do it again, okay? So it does not count. You cannot iterate over and over again on chapter 1. That'll get you nowhere. That's a bad habit. If you write a sentence and then go back and rewrite that sentence, you're not going anywhere fast. Exactly. Ron says ship it. So this is what we're talking about. Every single time that you sit down to write something, okay, I do practice free writing. Free writing is its own little habit. But when I sit down to write something in particular, whether it's a blog post, whether it's, a PDF opt-in or whatever, whether it's an article that I'm going to send out to be as a guest post, whether it's a book, these things must be completed before I start the next one. Last night the pastor said to focus on the right things. Miguel, exactly. Yes, and so once we turn... What's that saying? Energy goes where energy flows where attention goes. So turn your attention to those things that you really think once you complete them and get better at them, they will bring you success. So what is that? For a lot of us here, that is books. Okay, so the experiential problem that we have when we start to implement this is that we start experiencing these zigzags. Right? So we know that this is going to happen, but it's really hard when it actually does happen. So we put something out and we feel really great about it, and so we zigzag up, yes, I'm going for success, and then you look at it later and you're like, that was not as good as I thought it was, and then you feel terrible, and then you sort of go like this, and your book isn't selling, and you keep kind of going like this, and then you look at other people's writing and you keep going like this. You got to pull yourself out of it and say, it's okay, I'm iterating, and you got to publish something else and experience another high. And so there's this constant up and down and up and down. That means some days you're going to feel like crap. It's just how it is. Some days you're going to be on fire and loving the writing, and some days you're going to feel like crap and you're going to hate the writing. But in this creative process, you've got to keep your keep your energy flowing toward that thing that you're iterating. You have to literally just remind yourself, very logically, this is part of the process of completing and shipping and starting a new project. And each time I'm going to get a little bit better. And each time your expectations are going to rise also. So it's this constant sort of leveling up game. And so, you're never going to feel 100% satisfied, but you are going to have days where you are like high on life, and enjoy those days, celebrate those days, because not every day is going to be like that. But do expect that there's going to be this sort of up and down. And there was one more point I wanted to make. I don't remember. I had notes, but it's Friday. My notes are lacking a little bit. I'm gonna have to type them up for the website. Okay, so that's kind of how we do it in writing. But we're also business owners. So how does this look in business? It means that you are going to pursue new business tactics, and those business tactics might be really overwhelming. Miguel says, should I read less books on my genre and read business and honing on my writing? Ooh, good question. I have this problem too. I've been like really binging on business books and like like business and professional and personal development stuff really for the last year. But I'm trying to get a better balance of really like having a cycle of like fiction books that just inspire me and I love, nonfiction books about the craft of writing, and then nonfiction books about business or personal development. But trying to like keep a mix going. Yeah, Ron said the same thing. You know, you don't want to just devote yourself to the business. And you kind of have to go with your natural leanings too. I mean, I'm the sort of person that I get on a roll with something. I allow myself to roll with that for at least a few weeks. Like I ride the momentum. So if I read a nonfiction book about business and it gives me a really great idea, I try to roll with that nonfiction business genre for a couple weeks. Ron says a fiction writer needs to read a lot of fiction. Yes, that is totally true. And then Kenzel says, tangent question, what device are you using to record this scope? Oh, my iPhone. It's all balance. Yeah. Balance means different things to different people. So for some people, they can do balance really well. That's like, you know, I'm going to read one business book and then one fiction book and then one personal development book. And they can kind of keep like a rolling rotation system that's really nice and clean and organized. My balance looks more like I go really heavy on the business for a couple weeks, and then I'm like, okay, I'm tired now. I'm going to go really heavy on the craft writing or the fiction for a couple weeks. So my balance is actually just more like a pendulum swing back and forth. Ron says, I read how-to books about 2 hours a week. Yes, I was very organized and disciplined. I admire that one. And fiction an hour every night. Good Lord. I wish I had 3 hours to read. But I know we're in different stages of life. Those children. But yes, some people are really, if you like routines and schedules and stuff, which I kind of do, if you're able to maintain the like, I read a little bit here every day and a little bit here every day and a little bit here every day, go for it. I'm a pendulum swing personally. There you go, Miguel and Ron, y'all are on the same page. I'm glad y'all connected that. But in business, it can also feel a little bit uncomfortable because we're trying really new techniques and things. So with business, I feel like it's really easy to go down the rabbit hole. I'm currently kind of in that rabbit hole and trying not to drown. But like yesterday we were talking about creating this ebook and making an opt-in out of it. All right, let's say you decide, I'm going to try doing some Facebook advertising to drive traffic to that opt-in. Great, lots of people do that. It's a fantastic, idea. But it's new, and you might have to do a couple of Facebook ads. So an iteration of a Facebook ad would be completing a Facebook ad, running it, and seeing the results. So I had this problem when I was first starting in business. I was too timid about doing the Facebook ads, and so I would go in and I would like set one up and tweak it and make a little image and not actually publish it because I didn't want to waste the money. Well, that's a waste of my time. I didn't learn anything from that process. It only counts if you finish and you learn something from it so that you can improve the next time. So I forced myself. I was like, okay, I'm doing this. I'm going to run a Facebook ad, and I think I put it at maximum $5 a day or whatever. And I ran it, and I got very few hits because I didn't do it right. Exactly. Ron says you have to test ads, and I didn't know how to test ads, but I would never have really figured it out unless I tried. right? And so now I've gotten much more comfortable with the fact that, you know what, I actually, every campaign, I have two different Twitter, well, I do Twitter and Facebook now, but I have two different ads, and I try one and actually ship it, you know, complete the ad, and I try another one and complete that ad, and I compare them. And then the next go round, you'll know a month later when I'm doing another set of ads, I have a completed process to look back on and say, okay, that's what worked on that end. Here's what I can improve on. And there are lots of different things that you can tweak. I have started really working on my images. I find that when I have a picture of myself and really clean, big text, but no more than 20% on Facebook, that converts much better than just like an image of like my book, for instance. Because I think people are drawn more to the picture of a face than a book cover. So I use pictures of me. I had to get more pictures of myself. Ron says, if you can afford it, lead pages is great for testing. I love lead pages. That's what I use. It is expensive. It is a way to create really beautiful opt-in pages. But yes, it is great. And so you learn things like that. Like I learned that I have to take more pictures myself because people will click on my face more than they'll click on my book cover, which is weird, but you gotta roll with it, okay? You know, and I learned that I have to specify my target audience. So I can't just say people in English-speaking countries from ages 14 to 62. Like, that's too broad. I don't get enough clicks. It costs too much money, and then each click costs more. It's much more efficient if I say I'm looking for people in the English-speaking world who are ages, 24 to 65 or whatever, and then specify that they have interest in writing and reading. Then my clicks are much more efficient. So these are just little things that you learn and you take notes on as you do them, and you improve. You ship a Facebook ad and you have your lessons learned, and then you do it again. I think it's the guy who did LinkedIn. He has this really famous quote that's like, if you're not embarrassed of the product when you first shipped it, then you shipped too late. And I'm like, I'm the type of person that I will hold on to a product for too long. I will keep working on my book. I will keep working on my website. I will keep working on my opt-in, and I'll just hold it because I'm afraid that it's not good enough. I'm afraid that it doesn't live up to the expectation that I have. I mean, I see all these other people with these amazing books, these beautiful websites, these fantastic opt-ins, and I'm like, mine doesn't live up to what I want it to be, and so I don't want to release it. Thanks for the hearts, guys. But you will go nowhere with that mindset. Darnell's in here, you snuck in. Darnell, you have to say hi. You don't have to say hi. You might be at work, actually. Maybe you can't. That's totally fine. I always see you guys afterward. In fact, I've been really lazy about my Twitter, but I always go back and I see who's in the scope. So thank you guys. So that's my main message for you is this weekend, think about what you want, he's quiet, what you want to improve on. And you can't message me on Twitter. Oh, Kenzel, we'll have to figure that out. I bet we can. If you use Catch, K-A-T-C-H, you can go to Catch and you can see, oh, there's Darnell again. He must have hopped off for a second. Darnell, we were talking about you while you were gone. All nice things. If you catch your Periscopes, K-A-T-C-H, you can go back and you can see all of the usernames of people who commented in your scope, and you can click them and it pulls up Twitter for you. Miguel says I'm at work sneaking around. I know, yeah, the midday scopes, they work for me because it's nap time, but you guys don't have nap time at work. So, what are you going to iterate on? What are you working on this weekend? What is the project that you want to bring to completion? And I want an answer in the chat box. Is it a book? Is it an opt-in? Is it a sample ebook? Is it a blog post? Is it an article to send out for a guest post? Is it an email newsletter? What are you going to work on in the hope, not the hope, with the intention of completing it so that you can iterate on it? What's it going to be? Blabbing my podcast. Very nice. I could steal yours, but I won't. Mine is going to be, I have a new opt-in that I'm developing. So I hate releasing new opt-ins. It's so nerve-wracking, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to make myself complete this opt-in, and I know it's not going to be as good as I want it to be, and I'm going to make myself continue to just iterate and evolve and improve. It's the only way we can do it. Anybody else? What are you going to iterate on? Miguel, blog post. I haven't done one in a while. Yes, that is a great idea. While you're writing one, well, no, I would say write several, but just start with one. Start with one, finish it, complete it, ship it, and then get the momentum rolling. Because, yeah, blogs, I love blogging. That's not true. There have been times where I have not liked blogging. But blogging has been essential for the generation of my business and for the generation of my book. So blogging is great. I know like Ron does not like blogging. And so some of these social media platforms are replacing blogging. Ron says finishing the first edit of a book. Good job, good job. Aisha just joined. Hello, hello. We're actually just wrapping up, Aisha. I'm sorry. So Ron says blogging sucks. But just to give you a quick recap so that you can go back and then you can go back and catch the replay. But we're talking about iterating and that both in our writing and in our business, we need to learn to bring projects to completion, to finish them and to ship them so that the next one can be better. And if we don't finish it, if we don't ship it, then we're completely stalling ourselves. Like we're never going to move up this sort of stair-step ladder towards success. So, gotta finish, gotta ship, and gotta be okay with the fact that it's not gonna be as good as you want it to be. Which is really hard. It's easy to talk about, but hard when you wake up in the morning and you're like, you look at the blog post you published and you're like, there are 3 sentences with typos in that blog post. When am I ever going to get better at this? Maybe when I bring a proofreader on to read all of my blog posts. I should do that. Totally going to do that. Okay, anyway. So, I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Go finish that project, bring it to completion so that you can just keep improving. And if you want scope notes, which might take me an hour to get up, paperevenbooks.com/periscope, and the next time you scope, use the hashtag Periscope Writers. Ahem. Ahem. Oh, Ron and I are blabbing this weekend. Is that what we're ahemming about? I don't take hints well. You gotta be straight with me. Yes, okay. Darnell says I'm in a bad service area because she play. Ron and Gina, his podcast co-host, and I are doing a blab tomorrow. I have not yet signed on for blab. I believe my username is going to be Morgan GMAC. That one is almost never taken. Ron, what's your blab username? How do they find you? How do I find you? Tomorrow at 2:15 Central. Actually, it'll probably be 2:30 Central. Ron, how do we find you? Ron Estrada. That's very easy. Go to Blab. Blab is awesome. If you don't know what Blab is, it is like Periscope. It's like Periscope meets Skype. So there can be 3 of us, and Gina Conroy, I think. So 3 of us are going to be talking together. It's like you get to watch a Periscope, but it's me and Ron and Gina all talking together. And there's actually a 4th spot open. Like there is the capability for 4 people. We could bring someone in. But actually that would probably be confusing. If you want to watch me and Ron scope at the same time, go to Blab. It's going to be awesome. Tomorrow, 2:30-ish Central. You have a link. Ron says he has a link posted at teenwriterspublish.com. Ron's podcast is called Teen Writers Publish. So we are blabbing. We're also recording a podcast episode. So it's all sorts of crazy repurposing of content. It's going to be awesome. We'll tweet it out.